More breaking coaching news in college basketball. Minnesota is expected to part ways with Richard Pitino after 8 seasons. Only made the NCAA tournament 2 times, just 1 season where he was over 500 in the Big Ten, and he finished with back-to-back losing seasons. A 12th place finish last season in the Big Ten, a 13th place finish this season. And really, after a pretty good start to the season, the wheels totally came off of the track for Richard Pitino. This is not a surprising move in the least. Let's bring in Matt Norlander, who's been extremely busy and will continue to be so for the coming weeks here on CBS Sports HQ. Matt, not a surprise. I guess the question is, what's next for the Golden Gopher program?
Well, listen, it's been a noisy morning here across the Big Ten. You've got Archie Miller at Indiana. Also, by the way, Michael Shrewsbury reportedly going to join at Penn State. I'm told that is not done yet, just so we're clear. There's a lot going on, so I want to just address the Big Ten. Archie's done. Michael Shrewsbury, Purdue assistant, likely to join and be the head coach at Penn State. Not done yet, according to my sources, and now Richard Pitino's out. What's next? Minnesota is a fascinating job. I mean, it is the only Division I program in that state. Its level of desirability varies depending on who you talk to. I've always maintained that the school should be better than it is in men's basketball. Not that it's a top 30 program, but certainly, you know, in that it should be that consistently that top 40 or so, given the talent that's in that state. And frankly, the talent sometimes leaves it. I'll give you an initial list of candidates I think Minnesota should be considering. Eric Musselman obviously has ties to Minnesota. He would be one. Brian Dutcher, San Diego State. Would be another candidate that I would consider. You've got Craig Smith, Utah State coach, has ties there. Nico Medved, former Minnesota assistant. He's the Colorado State coach. Porter Moser, Loyola Chicago. Dennis Gates at Cleveland State. And a lot of these coaches are in the NCAA tournament. So it's this weird, it's always this awkward dance where they're coaching their own programs. But in some instances, and not all instances, I'm not saying this is the case with every one of these coaches, you know, they have agents. So those agents are getting feelers on whether the school would be interested. Okay, if it is, would we get, you know, interviews done as soon as the team was out of the tournament? Dennis Gates is a very hot name. We're going to get to DePaul in a second. I think that he should get a look here. He got a look at Penn State. Minnesota would also make sense as well. There's another name here. Oh, Darren DeVries at Drake, I think should get a look. I don't think that he would be a leading candidate. And then I'll throw you an off-the-board name, Mike Boynton at Oklahoma State, only because his stock is very high. And Oklahoma State is in the midst of an appeal on a postseason ban. Would that ban, if the appeal was lost, the ban would go into effect next year? And, you know, it wouldn't stun me, I guess. So I'm trying to give you an array of names that would make sense, but we're still early. This departure, the splitting of the ways, parting of the ways with Richard Pitino, Minnesota, has been presumed for weeks at this point. There was also a report from Stadium's Jeff Goodman that Pitino is simultaneously a finalist for the New Mexico opening alongside Tim Miles. I can confirm Tim Miles's involvement in the New Mexico job. I don't have information regarding Richard Pitino there. That would certainly be intriguing if Pitino could, you know, hop from this job to New Mexico without any downtime whatsoever. It's something to keep an eye on. I do think the New Mexico job is likely to close this week.
Yeah, it was a little over a decade ago. Another Big Ten coach did the exact same thing. Steve Alford walked away from Iowa City, went down to New Mexico, and had a ton of success there in his time in Albuquerque. Let's move to Chicago and DePaul. Parting ways with Dave Lato. It was his second go-round with the Blue Demons. He was also there from 2002 to 2005. Just could not rekindle the magic that he had there that first time around. And again, the question is, how does DePaul get out of the basement in the Big East? This used to be such a great program.
I mean, but we're going on almost 4 decades, Hassel. I mean, I never remember DePaul being good. I'm not old enough to remember DePaul being good. The program has an opportunity. A new athletic director, Dwayne Peavy, who actually has ties to Kentucky. A name you might hear is Kenny Payne, who's on the New York Knicks staff, longtime assistant to John Calipari at Kentucky. Whether or not Kenny Payne would be offered the job or would want the job, I actually think he would thrive there if offered. Again, Cleveland State's Dennis Gates, to me, is a great fit. I also can't help but wonder if right there in the city, if it isn't Porter Moser's job to turn down. Would he want the job, make the jump from Loyola to DePaul? You know, Loyola Chicago, it has, and Porter Moser has been on the record with me in the past about how his frustrations over his ability to schedule a non-conference to get Loyola on level where it's more consistently in the NCAA tournament picture. I think he would welcome interview opportunities at bigger programs. And to be honest, like NCAA tournament performance sometimes informs these decisions for right or for wrong. So a lot of this stuff may or may not depend on where some of these coaches, what they do in the NCAA tournament. But DePaul has been terrible forever. It needs to just try and find some sort of way to get back to any kind of semblance of relevance in that conference, let alone nationally. The three names that I mentioned to you, I think would all work though. And they're the three that come to mind initially. Kenny Payne, Dennis Gates, Porter Moser. Any of those three, I honestly believe if you hire any of those three men and they take the job, they can get DePaul back to the NCAA tournament by year 3.
Yeah, at least get out of the basement. I mean, they've been last place in the Big East, it seems like forever. 2-14 this season in the Big East. Matt Norlander on a very busy day. The coaching carousel in college basketball is rolling here on the first day post-Selection Sunday. Matt and Gary Parrish on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. The fresh episode recorded last night after the bracket reveal. They're also discussing the COVID issues facing some big-time tournament teams heading into this weekend.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.